We now continue our annual look back at the top 10 ag law and tax developments of the previous year and what they could mean for the farm sector moving forward. And today we make our way to the top 3. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now for a little breakdown here. We appreciate your time, Roger. So coming in at number 3 is a topic still causing back and forth confusion, the BOI Reporting Rule. Tell us about the highlights of this.
Well, good to be with you, Jennifer. And that confusion, thankfully, is over. This has been like a badminton game for several months now, with the rules on and then the rules off and the rules on and off. And finally, just a few days ago at the beginning of this week, the Treasury Department said, no, we're not going to enforce the rules against any domestic corporations. It only applies to foreign entities that are registered here in the United States. So we don't have to worry about this anymore. And that's good news. Now, it's probably bad news for those that filed their reports and are now wondering, well, what's the government going to do with this? And they paid somebody to professionally have those reports filed. You're not going to get that money back. But for the rest of us that were thinking all along that these rules would never go into effect, it's a good time.
So tell us what's coming in at number 2 on the list.
Number 2 is the Supreme Court decision in Loper-Bright, which repeals what's known as Chevron deference, which is the standard of deference that the courts have given for 40 years to administrative agencies such as USDA and sub-agencies that farmers deal with. And that rule had been a very high hurdle for farmers to overcome, in that the government administrative agency was basically presumed correct, and you had to show that their construction of the statute at issue was completely arbitrary and capricious to win. Now that's no longer the standard. The court said that the agencies are not experts in figuring out what Congress' intent was, and that belongs in the domain of the court. So I think what we'll see here is a greater win percentage by farmers that are challenging agency administrative actions. And I think we'll also see better rules written by the administrative agencies to begin with.
Well, this brings us to the number 1 top development from 2024. I feel like we need a drum roll. The fall federal election. Tell me why this one came in at number 1.
Well, this is a very big deal, and I think it stands for itself the last 6 weeks. This is a transformational election. Here we have an attempt to deal with government overreach for the past 80 to 90 years. In fact, maybe over 100 years, going back to Woodrow Wilson and the creation of the administrative state. And when you couple what's going on now with the attempt to trim down government and the repeal of the Chevron deference rule, that will have big implications for the economy as a whole long term, because there are economic considerations here. But long term, that will be good, with some short-term pain to turn things around. And of course, tariffs are involved in this too, and that's we don't have time to get into that, but they're all tied together. And then at the end of this is a push to shift the tax code from a tax on income to a tax on consumption. But that's the long-term view. So that's the transformational aspect of the election that I see. It's a really big deal.
Any final takeaways from this year's list?
Well, again, we see, Jennifer, how often the law interacts with agriculture, and I don't see that lessening in any time soon. And we saw that across the board, from water to regulatory issues to property issues to the election. The legal system, unfortunately, probably for many, is involved in farmers and ranchers' lives on a greater aspect each year, and that trend will probably continue.
Thanks so much, Robert McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. We appreciate you joining us today. Have a good one.